to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles. Visit our service department or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears. Welcome back to the Sic Em Podcast, presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco. I'm your host, John Morris. Arguably, Baylor's best baseball player in school history, Jason Jennings was a two-time All-American and the first consensus National Player of the Year in Division I in 1999. Jennings went on to be a first-round pick when the Colorado Rockies took him 16th overall and had one of the most memorable debuts in MLB history, pitching a 5-hit shutout complete game victory while also hitting his first career home run. Now, after a successful career in the professional ranks, Jennings is focused on family and has found a career in training the next generation of ball players. Welcome in, Jason Jennings, to the Sic Em Podcast. Jason, great to have you with us.
Great to be here, as always. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the time. You and I have had some great visits through the years. This will be another one, and we'll update folks on what's going on right now with you. And let's start with your family. Tell us about your family. You've got a college graduate in your family now.
Oh, yeah. My son, Braden, our oldest, he just graduated, I guess, second week of May from Oklahoma State. He got a sociology degree with kind of an emphasis in pre-law. He's thinking perhaps law school. Currently, this summer, he's actually getting his real estate license, so he's taking real estate school. Going to go ahead and get that and kind of do that in the meantime as a good way to network. We have a lot of good connections up here with some ex-coaches and friends of ours in the real estate world up here. So that's his plan. And then our daughter, Bailey, our middle child, she'll be a junior at Oklahoma State next year and is actually on pace to graduate after next year. She kind of wants to go ahead and get her adult life started sooner than later. And she's all in with criminal profiling and her favorite shows like Criminal Minds and all that stuff. So she wants to do some sort of FBI, NSA type stuff. And so she's very motivated to get into that world. And so it'll be interesting to see, where that takes her. And then our youngest, Keithan, he'll be a sophomore at Frisco High School. And he is a bowler. He is all in. He's in a couple leagues, and we do 2 or 3 practices a week. And he's actually really good. I've played with him, and I have a more powerful shot, obviously, but he's so good at just his accuracy and his spares. And I've learned with bowling, it's not really velocity, it's your accuracy and picking up spares. And so his high is a 278. So he's well on his way to, maybe doing something cool with the bowling world. So it's fun to see him enjoy that.
Man, 278. That's great.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, he's not bad. Not bad at all.
That's fun. That's great to hear about. Of course, it's you and your wife, Kelly. And I remember right, y'all met here in Waco, but she wasn't at Baylor. She was at MCC across town.
Yeah, she was a dancer at McLennan. So she was a competitive dancer her whole life, and then got a scholarship there at MCC. So it was awesome to be in Waco together and share that experience. And I kind of got drafted the same time she left, or she was done at MCC, and she got her medical assisting degree kind of while I was in the minor leagues. And then once I got to the big leagues and things got chaotic, she just kind of, things got twisted up a little bit, and we had kids. And so she never really got to do anything with that degree. I feel bad, but I mean, hey, I don't even have my degree yet. I'm still like 20 hours short, sadly. But so I got 2 of my family members that got college degrees, and my daughter will have one this next year. So I gotta pick up the pace.
There you go. All right. Well, I'll push for you to get that degree. 20 hours.
Yeah, I got a freshman history left at Baylor, so I'm going to talk to somebody at Baylor about me as 46-year-old not having to step foot in a freshman history class.
Yeah, passing out of that one. That's true. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
people, maybe we can connect you with that.
yeah.
But that's great. So there's the history, and you're up in Frisco. Y'all live in Frisco.
Frisco.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Let's go back to your Baylor days. By introduction, I don't think I did a good job of introducing you, but you are quite simply the most decorated baseball player in Baylor history. You were the two-time Big 12 Player of the Year, Consensus Player of the Year after your junior year, Dick Hauser Award, Golden Spikes Award. Any award that can be won in baseball, you won it on your way after your junior year here at Baylor. It was such a great career. And actually, you were a baseball guy in high school, weren't you?
Mhm. I was. I was tight end, defensive end, and then a kicker and a punter. So, but once I'd already committed to Baylor, and I knew they'd offered me a great scholarship. My senior year in high school, I actually walked into the coach's office, and I was gonna just full on quit football. I couldn't risk. We were a veer option offense, so as a tight end, you're not really catching a whole lot of passes. You're doing a lot of blocking with 250-pound, 300-pound guys. So I couldn't take somebody falling on my knee, and that, Lord knows where that would have ended up. So I went in and told them I needed to just hang it up for football sakes, and they said, "Well, you're a senior. We need some leadership. Just come and be the kicker and the punter." And so, sure enough, my whole senior year, I was scout team quarterback, and then I had my own bag of footballs and my own tee, and so I looked like a little 120-pound kicker like you'd see in the NFL, and that was me my senior year. So, but I mean, Friday Night Lights, that was a great experience for me, and there's really nothing like it. And so I was, blessed to still be able to do that my senior year, and my coaches allowed me to hang out and just kick and punt.
Gotcha. When you went straight baseball, did you miss football at all, or was it just time to move on?
No, I did, and I have said this many times. I think some of my success as a baseball player came from being a football player. I played baseball with a football mentality, just the competitiveness and the not so much anger, but just I mean, you were trying to beat me, I was trying to beat you, and I took that personal every at bat. Every hitter that walked up to the plate. So I really feel like that was a big part of the success I had on the diamond was just the toughness and the mental toughness, I guess, that comes with football.
It's interesting you say that because Kelly Shopik, who came along a little after you,
Mhm.
said exactly the same thing. I mean, he was a really good two-way player, football and baseball, but he said they really complemented each other, and it made him the type of player, style of player that he was.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think, and even just I play a little basketball through the eighth grade, and it just makes you any sport makes you a better overall athlete. And I think if say baseball ends up being your only sport come high school, all the experiences and the drills, the footwork that it takes to play other sports, I think really plays well on the baseball field because baseball is such a skill driven sport. It's not if you're big and strong doesn't necessarily mean you're good at baseball, and you got to have certain skills and hand-eye coordination and stuff that really some of the sports can complement each other in that area.
Yeah. Along those lines, there's so much, I would say, specialization days of guys and girls who pick one sport and they just, play it, play it, play it. And what are your thoughts about, being a little more broad, playing different sports, getting, acclimated in different areas instead of just focusing on one, especially when you're younger?
I would 100% suggest to any kid to play as many sports as possible. You never know what your true passion is going to be in. Um, you know, like I said, I think it makes you a better athlete. Mentally, I think it makes you tougher if you can, experience a little bit of football, a little bit of adversity, a little bit of, 100-degree two-a-days and, tackling drills. And you know, you kind of separate the men from the boys. And when those tough times come on the baseball diamond, that some of that experience you had as a football player or, running gassers in basketball or I wasn't good enough to play soccer or, obviously wasn't fast enough to do track and field, but um, I truly think, those other sports really play well. If even if you're a football player and you played baseball growing up, some of that hand-eye coordination that's taken, that it takes in baseball can help you as a football player as well. So,
Yeah, I see how that makes sense. I think of your family. I think of your grandfather, who I met a couple of times.
mhm.
He was in broadcasting, wasn't he? And he was the PA voice for the Dallas Cowboys for a long time.
He was all through the Landry years and Roger Staubach, and he was the voice of the Mesquite Rodeo for,
Yeah.
gosh, 30, 40 years, it seems like. Cotton Bowl, Texas OU. And then once Jerry Jones bought the team, he flipped the whole Cowboys, from top to bottom. Everybody from the Landry area kind of got pushed to the side, and, understandably. So from that point on, my dad kind of took over all the games at AT&T. My dad does. He does the Cotton Bowl, Texas OU out at the Fair Park, and he does tons of high school games. So he does everything except the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
So he kind of took over once my granddad got too old, and but I'm not next in line. That's really not my thing. I think I would end up saying something that would get me probably fired in the first quarter of my first game. So
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, it was good to see your dad when we were playing the Tech game at AT&T Stadium. We did that for 10 years. I'd always see
Yeah.
him two booths down from us.
Absolutely. Yep.
That was fun. And then the Cotton Bowl that we played in, also against Michigan State, he did the PA.
Sure.
That's some great history. How about your history? Remind everybody, coming out of your dad also played baseball at the University of Texas, played with the Rangers a little bit. Texas was kind of your school, wasn't it, before or when you started looking at schools?
Yeah, absolutely. I, growing up, and you kind of follow and, your dad's footsteps, and you hear about UT, and he played at Dallas Skyline High School and led the state of Texas in hitting, and then went to Texas. And he would admit to this, he didn't take care of his business in the classroom, but ended up signing free agent with the Texas Rangers and played a little bit minor league ball. And but no, UT was kind of my school growing up, and but once it came when I was in high school and it came recruiting time, and my first letter ever came from Dartmouth, which obviously I was like, where's Dartmouth? So I had to look that up. But then I started getting letter after letter after letter. And, I've told this story before. Every college, from Louisiana, Oklahoma, everywhere in the state of Texas, obviously, showed some sort of interest, except the University of Texas. At that time, they kind of felt like that you come to them, they don't come to you. And, that was fine. I ended up in a great place, and, but I always had that chip on my shoulder, and, it couldn't have worked out any better for me. And the experience I had, the family that became a part of there at Baylor. But it was a little extra special to do what we did to them my 3 years at Baylor. And, I'd never forget Charlie Carter, who also kind of got the shaft from UT. We went down to Austin, and he had, it seems like 15 RBIs in one weekend. And so just, ended up sweeping them one year. And so it was a little extra special. And I have them as a small kind of crazy thank you. Thank you for not paying attention to me, because I ended up in a much better spot.
That's great. Worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
Absolutely.
Hey, Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles. Visit our service department or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears.
That is great. So were interesting times, weren't they? So 97, 98, 99 here at Baylor. Coach Steve Smith, Mitch Thompson, who is back, as the head coach now, and Hoot was the other assistant at that time. Ballpark was being renovated, updated. You guys were playing, practicing in sort of a construction zone, weren't you, with Baylor Ballpark?
Absolutely. When we first signed with Baylor, when I first got recruited, they still had the chain link fence. I think it was 415 feet to center, for lack of a better word, metal bleachers.
Right.
But quickly that landscape changed. And yeah, my junior year, we hosted that regional and the supers with seemed like partially their concrete foundation, I guess, of that eventually be seats, the seats
Yeah.
that our fans sit in these days. It was just concrete. So people would bring their lawn chairs and sit on the concrete steps. And it felt like it was 130 on the field that weekend. So I bet it was 150 in the stands. But, they packed them in, and it was, not the full Baylor Ballpark experience, but, we got to experience the beginnings of it. And, it was a fun experience for our group.
And hot as blue blazes, wasn't it? Remember the regional,
Miserable.
and then the super regional happened to be against Oklahoma State. It was so hot.
It was smoking hot. I'll never forget and I actually kind of memories of, I've been watching the super regionals and the World Series this last couple of weeks, and some of the super regionals that I watched, it looked like it was smoking hot. And some of these day games, it was, brought back some fond, but, very vivid memories of how hot it was.
Yeah, one of the hottest games. I mean, they were all that time of year. If you're playing in late May or June, it's going to be hot. But one of the hottest ones I remember would have been the year before. Went to the regional in Gainesville, Florida. And you guys, I always bring this up because I remember the story one way. Coach Smith remembers the story another way. But you guys had to play Florida in an elimination game. They were the number 1 seed, Brad Wilkerson, a really good team on their home field. It was a day game, and it was just so hot and humid. Mm-hmm. And so what's the number of pitches you threw in that game?
I mean, one side, I believe, says 163. Oh. Another side says it's in the 140s. I think once you get past 130, it really doesn't matter if it's
right.
140 or 160 or 200. It's a lot. But I mean, I could have been at 175 pitches. And when Coach Smith came out to that mound visit, I don't know if it was the 8th or the 9th, he came out to visit, and I wasn't giving him the ball. I could have been at 200 pitches, and it was just kind of do or die that day. And I think I had lost 10 pounds already by that point that day. So it was one of the hotter days, but it was, that's a win that was good for our program, especially kind of starting us into that special junior year that we had in '99. But that was a fun victory, doing it to them on their home field, they were the 1 seed. And but no, it was, I give Smitty a hard time, but I wasn't coming out of the game regardless of what my pitch count was. I was in it for the long run.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you and I remember it the same way. I always remembered it as 164 pitches. You said okay. I was at 63, so around there on a very hot day, a morning day. That would have been the 98 regional. 99 was here in Waco, and then the super regional here. And then were you in your mind pretty well set that you were going to go pro? I mean, you had to think you were going to be first round draft pick.
Yeah, I think my whole junior year, I knew there was a chance, and there was talk maybe 3rd round or 5th round, or, maybe in the early teens. I really didn't know. But as the year progressed, I had, kind of strung together quite a few good starts. But it was really the Big 12 tournament up in Oklahoma City in Bricktown. I pitched against Missouri, opening game. And they leadoff hitter got an infield single or something. I think that was it for the rest of the game. I think we won 1-0 or 2-0. There was a lot of scouts that day. The Rockies were there that day. And I think maybe the 7th or 8th inning, I touched either 93 or 94 velo wise. And that was kind of the linchpin of, well, this is getting serious. And, now there's first round talk, and I must have impressed the Rockies enough that day to, really jump up on their board. And that's kind of when it got really serious.
Nice. Very good. 16th pick, first round to the Rockies, relatively new franchise, and you were one of their early stars. And what a debut. I think everybody knows first man ever to hit a home run and pitch a complete game shutout in your major league debut. That was at Shea Stadium against the New York Mets. What a night that was for you.
It was. It's funny you say that. A buddy of mine sent me something off of an Instagram page. I think it's MLB Reels or something. They have a lot of throwback videos, and somebody was talking about in that video that now that the DH is in both leagues, pitchers really don't hit anymore.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's that last time that'll ever even have a chance to happen. Obviously, if you get an Ohtani that comes through, a superstar that pitches and hits, perhaps they could, still do that. But pitchers don't hit anymore, which is, obviously, to me, it's sad. Most pitchers don't like hitting, but I did. So yeah, it was a crazy night. We had an hour rain delay, and I had just seen Mike Piazza hit one off the camera tower in left center the night before. So I was a little, at every level, you kind of think to yourself, am I good enough? Am I good enough for D1? Am I good enough for A-ball, AA, AAA, big leagues? So, you always have that doubt if I'm good enough to compete here and succeed here. But, I just I had a really, really good catcher, Sal Fasano, that night, just really calmed me down. And I probably told this story before, but first hitter I ever faced was Matt Lawton. He smoked the ball down the first base line, past Helton and into the right field corner. Larry Walker's playing right field. Larry Walker picks it up and throws an absolute seed to Juan Uribe at second base, and I get Matt Lawton trying to stretch a single into a double. So immediately I'm like, okay, these guys behind me are obviously Hall of Famers in Larry's case, but they're really good. And let me just fill up the zone and let them work behind me. And it really, really helped me settle down and realize that, that I'm not the only one out here that has to do this. These guys behind me are way better than any defense I've ever seen. So, that he helped me settle down. And then we scored some early runs, and I got out of a sticky situation with a double play ball, and then got to the ninth inning, and Buddy Bell pulled me aside and asked me what my highest pitch count was ever. And I had thrown like 120 in AAA a couple starts, and I was in the 105, 107 range, I think, to start the ninth. So he's like, all right, you're hitting, you're staying in the game. And I was leading off the ninth inning, and Toby Harrah was our bench coach at the time. And I was like, what does this guy have? He's like, he's got nothing. You can't hit. Just sit first pitch fastball, see what happens. And I did, and that's what happened. So it was a magical night. I set the bar way too high because if I could have given up one run my next start, and that would have been a disappointment. But no, it was something that obviously I'll never forget. And, it was a great way to kick off a professional career.
Man, what an amazing debut. Another thing I noticed, I don't know if I'd seen this before, you're the only pitcher in history that hit a home run off Greg Maddox. Only pitcher.
That is my favorite stat.
That's a great.
You can throw all of them away, but if any of them, that's my favorite by far. Yeah. It was, and it was actually on a hit and run at Wrigley Field. Brad Hopp, remember Brad Hopp? He was a local DFW guy, went to LSU. He was on first base. So he tried to throw a cutter in, and it didn't cut. And I don't know if you remember the little chain link basket they have there right above the ivy in Wrigley. So I needed to hit it about 352 feet, and I think I hit it about 352.2, and it landed in the basket, and that, it's far enough. It was far enough that day.
That's a home run.
Yeah, it's home run.
Off Greg Maddox. That's amazing. Coming through your career, it was the Rockies, and you just set so many franchise records there. To the Astros for 1 year, and then Rangers. Final major league team was the Rangers. Was that fun to play in Arlington, kind of close to home, to finish your career?
It was. It started off rough in 08. That's when I had a surgery in 07 with the Astros, and then I had to have it repeated in 08. But rehab through that. So 08 was rough, but then signed a minor league deal in 09. So I went to spring training and had to, fight my way onto the team for the first time in a long time. But I was healthy and, really challenged myself. I had to throw some early bullpens before the big guys even got there. So, it was rewarding really to have to work through that process and, fight my way back and fight my way onto the team. You hate to say this, but I was kind of proud of myself for just the fact I didn't have to do that for 9-10 years. And then all of a sudden I'm put in that position to fight my way onto a roster, and was able to do it and pitched in the bullpen, which was the first time I ever did that. I was kind of a utility pitcher is what they called me. I may come in the second inning. I may come in the seventh. I got a save in an extra inning game out in Arizona one time. So it was, I just kind of had to be ready at all times. And so it was a fun experience. I I kind of wore down the end of the year because I had to rehab for 12 months straight, basically before that. But yeah, it was fun pitching at home. Got to pitch in front of my family. Got to see my kids.
Yeah.
We were at home, and they got to experience the ballpark every night. So it was definitely a great way to end off in my big league career for sure.
Should have mentioned National League Rookie of the Year in 2002. Great honor there, and really one of the few MLB honors that a Rockies player has ever won. So that was a great accomplishment.
Yeah, that was kind of the pre-humidor, pre-steroid testing. So, it's a challenging place to pitch today, but it was back in 02, 03, 04. It was a nightmare. But they kind of groomed us as Rockies draft picks, to just pitch better than the other guy. That was our mentality. And then our AAA was in Colorado Springs, which is 1,000 feet higher than Denver. So if you can survive half a season, or I was about 3/4 of a season in AAA, if you can survive in Colorado Springs, then Denver's almost a piece of cake. Except for Barry Bonds, being in the same division as Barry.
Yeah.
It was, he's a different animal. So it was, everybody always asks me who's the best hitter you ever faced, and it takes me a half a second to answer it. And second place is not really even close.
That's pretty amazing. Great career. You were part of Team USA a couple of times. I think 97, 98, you were on Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like for you?
It was awesome. When you you have a USA on your chest, it's a whole different vibe. It's a whole different feeling. Obviously you're playing something. You're playing for someone at Baylor or the Rockies or the Rangers or the Astros. But when you got your country on your chest, I mean, there's a whole different set of expectations and pressures and intensity that come with that. And we were a college group of kids, so I don't know some of the names, y'all, Pat Burrell and Ryan Model and Jeff Austin and Eric Valent. I mean, some really, really good college players back in the day. We had a really good team, but we were playing against men's teams from Australia and Cuba and Japan. And I mean, so grown men with metal bats. It was a challenge, but it was, some of the places we got to go to Barcelona and Japan and Nicaragua, which was an experience. So just places that you wouldn't, I would never think to go to those places, obviously, as an adult. It's not a vacation spot, but to experience those parts of the world and playing against different countries with our country on our chest, which I took a lot of pride in. It was, something I'll never forget.
Yeah. What a great honor, really. What a great experience this Olympic year, and really, comes to the forefront, especially in Olympic years. I know you have been recognized by, and you're a big supporter of Keeper of the Game. Explain why that's important to you.
It's just it's a way that some of us that have been blessed to have some success in the baseball world. It's a way for us to give back to special needs, give back to the community. We do a huge food drive up here that stacks the Frisco food pantry. So during the holidays, some kids that may depend on free lunches during the school year, during the holidays, Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, they're at home. Some of these families, literally can't afford to put food on the table. So it's a place they can go and get their holiday meals. There's camps we do for special needs kids. We opened up the Rockies and I opened up a turf field up there in the Denver area. So some of these special needs fields they're turf fields with flat bases. So they're wheelchair accessible. Kids with any kind of disabilities can get out there, and they have these helpers they call buddies that will help them around the bases. And, it's just kids that would never get to experience the things that I was blessed to experience, get that opportunity through Keeper of the Game. And, it's just a way to give back and a way to stay in the game and help those that, don't get the same opportunities that some of us do.
Well, you're being modest. That field you talked about in Littleton, Colorado, is the Jason Jennings Mile High Adaptive Field. So that's got your name on it. So that's tremendous. We've got the Challenger Little League here in Waco, which is the same lines. But
Mhm.
thanks to you and congratulations to you for being, such a key player in that area, in that arena of the keeper of the game. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a lot of great memories, baseball in the big leagues and this and that, but then, you get to be a part of something that hits home and really humbles you to realize how blessed you truly were to do what I was able to do and be a part of the Baylor family and the MLB family. But it humbles you to see that, and it's great to kind of give back. Yep.
Very cool. Not that you're an old timer, but you get invited back now sometimes. You're not an old timer in any way, okay? I didn't say that.
I'm getting there.
Did the Rockies have you back last year for some special night?
Yeah, they every home weekend during the summer they brought back two or three of the old timers, I guess you'll say.
You're not.
Yeah, it was me and Brad Hopp, and then Ibaldo Jimenez were there, and so it was awesome. It's still one of the most beautiful ballparks in the big leagues. I I wish they could put a better product out there consistently, but it's a beautiful place, a great city, fun people, and a lot of it's crazy. We did a few autograph signings and some events with the fans, and a lot of the same faces. I mean,
Oh, really?
that I would see out in the outfield during BP and hanging out at home games. A lot of the same faces were there, and they recognized me. I recognized them. A lot of the same front office is still there. So it's just a place that's near and dear to my heart, and they gave me a chance in '99 and drafted me, and my kids grew up there, down in the family room. So it was Coors Field's a special place, so it was great to go back and visit and see everybody, and they actually treated us. They did a great job bringing us in and not using us to their advantage, but really celebrating our era and those guys that I was with, and it was fun to be out there again.
Love it. Here at Baylor, we would call that an alumni, alumni
Mhm.
game or alumni weekend. You've been part of some of those here at Baylor. In fact, Byron Weathersby reminds me about the time in an alumni game when you pitch against, who was it?
Uh, See, I pitched. I think I walked. I know I walked somebody to get to Kip Wells because I wanted to pitch against Kip Wells. I think is what it was.
Right. What, go ahead.
Um, Gosh,
Thornton
man,
Sterling. You remember pitching against Thornton Sterling?
oh, yes, I do. I was scared to death
Right.
that I was going to hit him. So
Thornton at
I
the
had
time was what, 80s?
Yeah, I mean, just he was, still spry, still had his energy about him, but a fastball to the ribs would have done a whole lot of damage to him at that time. So I really had to dial it down a little bit, pitch him away, make
Right.
sure I wasn't coming inside. So that was the one and only time I pitched in an alumni because I was like, you know what, this is not worth. It's just too stressful. And then if I give up a bomb to one of these college kids, I look like an idiot. And then I think they did a hit and run or a bunt on me. So then I kind of got ticked off and I almost thought about drilling one of the current players, but I was like, I can't do that. So it was it's fun obviously to see all our guys and see the coaches again and be down there. But yeah, my pitching days are, unless it's slow pitch softball, my pitching days are
I
over.
got, I
Yeah.
got you. Tell everybody about the Pastime Training Center, your spot now.
Yeah, we have a place, actually moved up a little bit farther north up in Prosper. The land's a little bit cheaper up there. Frisco's getting pretty pricey for, unless you're Jerry Jones or, big timers. But, so yeah, we're the home of the Dallas Tigers North region. So we host the Dallas Tigers teams. They practice out of our facility, and, we got about, I guess, 12 teams now. But we do a lot of pitching, hitting, a lot of softball lessons. We got some great softball instructors as well. So we got 2 outdoor turf fields and then 8 cages on the inside with 2 bullpens. So it's just nothing too fancy, but it's a great place to go to work and really get some good instruction. Turf fields are key with the weather up here. We can always get outside and do some field work. And they got lights and everything. So it's a cool little setup and something that's given me a chance to stay in the game without coaching and traveling and being gone all the time. Once I retired, I was done traveling and done being gone from home. I really wanted to stay here. So it's been a great thing stay in the game and get back to this, next generation.
Very cool. It's great to catch up with you. We appreciate your time. Come see us when you can. Best to Kelly, and thanks for being on the Sic Em Podcast.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much.
Thanks again for joining us on the Sic Em Podcast, presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco, a sport and story production. If you enjoyed this conversation with Jason Jennings, head over to BaylorPlus.com or the official Baylor Athletics YouTube channel, where you can watch the premium video version of this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. I'm your host, John Morris, and I hope you'll join us next week on another edition of the Sic Em Podcast.